10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6.
Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of Launchpad, Rocket Fuel's special interview series where we interview members of the Rocket Pool community who have some interesting experiences, ideas, or perspectives that I feel are useful for the Rocket Pool community as a whole to share in and conversations that can come around with that. In today's episode, we have Kent. Some of you who might know Kent as Stake Rocket Pool on Twitter, and kind of like this educational angle that Kent likes to push. We also have Ben, who is a college student who is studying computer science related topics and programming with security focus. And we're going to be talking to both of these people today about how we can get young people into crypto, especially Rocket Pool, why Ethereum staking is such a great way of getting people into staking, into crypto, and some of the great things that can come from that. So we're going to get started. Kent, or is there anything you'd like to add to that about being on, about who you are and what you do day to day?
Yeah, thanks, Wax, so much for having me on. I've watched this and like a celebrity, am impressed that I get to be on the show, and really grateful you're allowing Ben to come with me. So the first time we're having two people on the launch pad. Only other thing I'd add is, is I just love Ethereum. So I've got some other stuff that I'm working on, but Stake Rocket Pool is just what I want to focus on for today.
And how about you, Ben? Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
That's fine. Okay. Well, welcome. And Ken, I think I'll start with you because you've been in crypto for longer than Ben has. How did you hear about crypto? When did you hear about crypto? How did that happen?
I think it was my older brother when I was, 10, when he was telling me that paper money would be gone and that, everything would be digital one day. But realistically, 2015. When I signed up for my Coinbase, but I didn't really have any money. 2017, I started investing. I put way too much in 2018. And I was an analyst, not a programmer by trade. So I was determined to figure out how I could get in, and just spent a lot of time researching and chasing different ICOs and trying to figure out what the next Ethereum killer would be. That takes you into about 2019, and just realizing that it's all about Ethereum and the community and, the moat that the community provides, and how, much flora and fauna happens there. And so I decided to focus primarily on Ethereum and trying to, grow as an analyst. I got myself into crypto, work for Flipside Crypto, doing analytics work. So Flipside Crypto helps blockchains make data actionable. So working with like Cardano and some other top chains that don't get much usage, and we're just pushing, marketing narratives, kind of help give me a different view. And that is why I get super passionate about crypto, is how everything's open and permissionless, and a lot of the use cases haven't been identified yet. But for me, it's still, ultrasound money, or what Ethereum can provide as a open marketplace, or internet money is a simple meme for it. So found my way to Rocket Pool finally in 2021 after doing lots of research on how to stake. Had already been doing my own node before, and was trying to figure out how to stake with less ETH and a decentralized way. Stake Rocket Pool came about to try and educate more people. And then I got connected with Ben through the University of Cincinnati and their crypto program that they have, and have started trying to get other university students involved in governance within the Rocket Pool community. And that brings me to today.
Awesome. And how about you, Ben? Can you give me a quick rundown of your crypto journey?
Yeah, so I think I first really heard about it in about 2021. My cousin was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get into crypto. I'm gonna get into Bitcoin. I'm gonna make it big." I think he put about $100 in, and I don't remember exactly which one, but some big exchange, and I think he lost most of it. Um, Definitely helped his taxes, but um, otherwise, I really got into it just around the last year. Programming professor came up to me, asked me if I was interested in crypto, and I said, sure, that sounds interesting. And I met with Professor Michael Jones of the University of Cincinnati, and he's the head of the cryptocurrency lab there. And I talked to him for a little bit, and then I got forwarded into a meeting that happened to have Kent in there as well. Met with Kent. He talked about Rocket Pool, and it just sounded way too interesting to not pursue anymore. So I started reading everything I could about Rocket Pool. I went to like the Medium posts, the like 4-step guide. Here's what Rocket Pool is. I was really interested in learning all that I could. Um, and free time has slowed down, so I don't get to read as much as I'd want, but I have put some time into reading most recent, like most recent votes, I think, for the past like 3 to 4 months. And I put some analysis behind that, working with Kent, and I don't know, that's about how I am here now.
It's great. Yeah. So Ken, let's talk about you a little bit about like hearing about crypto in those in 2015, right? Because that's relatively early. Like that's definitely like OG crypto person. Like you said you didn't really have much money at the time. Like what was happening in your life at the time? Like what were you thinking about crypto? How was that going?
I was a couple years out of university, and just like most young people today I talk to, they just know that the future is crypto, but they don't know how to get in, So like the easiest path in the United States is Coinbase. So I created an account, but still had student loans and didn't, feel comfortable truly investing. And so I just created the account and left. And then in 2017, when I was working in Silicon Valley and making more money, then I thought like, oh, here's my chance. Like I missed it last time. Let me FOMO in. And
So
then, yes.
is that were you buying like what time in like 2017 were you buying
I
at?
was like realistically July, August.
Oh, so
So I
that's fairly
missed,
early 2017. Like that's before the mania peak phase of the market, right? Like that was the end of 2017, early 2018. So that wasn't too
yeah, I mean,
bad.
the more you study markets, the more you realize just the dollar cost average, like now in
Yeah.
where we're at in July 2023. But when you look back, um, I definitely started off well, but put too much in at the wrong time. My best advice is just if you buy the tops, make sure you just keep buying the bottoms and dollar cost average. So I did do that, but it was so disheartening to see like the net worth double and feel so smart and chase after like Ethereum competitors to realize I have less Ethereum, and I just did all the stupid lessons.
So what were you buying in 2017 in that summer and forwards after that?
The Wax ICO I was really proud of putting 2 ETH into that, but just trying to what I thought was diversify, and I didn't understand the market yet and realize how to really participate. And so like the DeFi narrative made sense, but at that time the big narrative was an ETH killer, and I don't know if you were that's oh my gosh, they're no longer around anymore. Block One, I forgot the
Yeah, it's Ponzi,
yeah.
famous Ponzi. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. There's just so many Ponzi's, but
yeah. I think
with the more research you do, sorry to cut you off.
that's fine.
I
Yeah,
just find that,
Go ahead.
I wanted to complete that the research is hard, but like it's enjoyable. The more skeptics come in and the deeper they go, they usually find their way to our community. It's just nice to guide people from the top of the funnel and not have them like start off getting really excited about Polygon and like building over there, knowing that they're just going to keep rearranging their deck to to change things up, but understanding ecosystems and where to really grow took me some time to figure out Ethereum was the home.
Yeah, that's really interesting because your story and my story in that sense are quite similar, because I first heard about crypto, really heard about crypto in 2016, just as Bitcoin was going past its previous all-time highs, and that was the beginning of the bull market. Well, I guess the bull market had already been going at that point for a while, but it was kind of those first of that cycle, the first reemergences of crypto into the mainstream again. And I remember talking to my wife, and I was like, hey, there's this thing, Bitcoin and crypto, and maybe we should put some money into it. This was November 2016. So I think Bitcoin was $600, $700 at the time. And I was like, let's put some money into this. And she's like, it sounds kind of scammy. Let's leave it. It's not really a thing. So I was like, that's fine, because we have shared finances, and that's totally okay. And we kind of talked about it a couple of times more, but nothing really seriously. And then right at the end of 2017, right peak FOMO, I was like, it just makes sense. I'd become a little bit more aware of what the market was, a little bit, not much, but something. And I just was educated enough, in the Dunning-Kruger effect, where I was the confident amateur, it felt like I knew everything, and I was able to convince her to put a little bit of money into it. And I bought Litecoin and I bought Ethereum, and
Same.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, this is gonna work well, and it didn't work well. I bought right. So I watched my portfolio go down in value 90% at one point, 92% I was down, and I didn't really, when I bought right at that point, I didn't really know what was coming. And once I stayed in the market, I think the advice that you gave, Kent, there about how if you buy the tops, then just keep buying, don't stop buying, basically. And that's kind of what I did as well, where I bought more throughout the following years, and that's how I was able to build up my position in a way. I'm not some kind of crypto whale or anything like that, but it's something, right? And I got some good ETH. I got ETH at $120, which was amazing for me, but that was a small bag, of course, like everyone. But that's the really good advice that you gave there about how if you have heavy bags at the top of a bull market, and if you believe in the technology, then keep buying. And of course, not financial advice, the hashtag whatever, but you keep buying, and if you have belief in the technology, then you'll believe that it'll come back at some point in the coming years, and at that point, then you're in a position where you can really take advantage of it. So yeah, tell me a little bit about this analyst job that you mentioned. What was that all about? What were you analyzing?
Flipside Crypto worked with all the top blockchains. So they were, we would work with the project teams, so the Flow blockchain, and how to just take metrics from number of validators to users to labeling exchange wallets. So competitors with Dune Analytics, Dune really won with having a great front end UI. Flipside had what they thought were better meta labeling, so different labels for each transaction type or entity, but we kind of didn't get first to market on the best end user platform. And so working with these, from founder of Thorchain to, the investors in USDC, to take all the different blockchain data elements, which, really hasn't been that much. We're just expanding upon it now, and the complicated stuff that Superfizz is into with dank sharding. And we'll be able to put more data on the blockchain, but simple tags of this is an exchange wallet, or this is a foundation wallet. There's very little real world use cases in 2019. We were assuming that DeFi was here. Aave was successful. It started off as Lend, but the only thing that was successful was really yield farming, and that was just liquidity incentives that compounded upon each other. And you take in the quote unquote easy money, and we realized that we hadn't found enough real world use cases, but there still was massive demand for Ethereum. And so I decided to leave Flipside Crypto when they wanted me to do, just grant proposals. It was probably a silly move. I thought like a different opportunity would be better for me. But I left Flipside Crypto and then went into TradFi for a year, and that was a fun experience.
Great. So now that we kind of like positioned ourselves into getting like your experiences a little bit, you did TradFi for a year. Did you give up on crypto at that point, or were you still doing crypto? Like, how were you staying like in these crypto communities? Like, what were you doing to stay abreast of what was going on?
It's hard to stay abreast if your friends aren't involved. So I was lucky to have some friends in different cities that were involved. We stay in text threads. I like reading, project updates. To be honest, I'm not a big Discord user, but I would, join to understand updates or reach out for help or support. Me personally, I've always been a big tester. So and learning that you're early with crypto and testing, you get airdrops. Like getting the Uniswap airdrop was amazing. Like I was early to synthetics and like testing it on optimism and like really chasing yield farming airdrops at that time. And that's really helped me do some free testing on the L2s today. But like I lost a wallet and then I got really frustrated because that was like $2,000 at the time. But then the next day I started again, and it was the last day Uniswap did the snapshot for, the 400 uni. So like that was fun to, get that, but I've always liked testing things. And so testing out all the DeFi protocols kind of guided me to realize that, being a node provider and staking is more important than degen activities or trying to chase the next project. It's being like critical infrastructure. And then decentralization is so overvalued until it's not. And so like
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah, that's really cool. So at that point, I guess we're kind of reaching the point now where, Ben, you started hearing about crypto like from your professor, right? So tell me about like your first thoughts about crypto in that professional setting. Like, was it strange for you that your professor was like, hey, like go into this crypto thing, like because of like the popular narrative about crypto is like, it's scams or kind of shadow coders and like all that kind of stuff. Like, so what were your thoughts around that time?
At first, I was a little nervous because it was quite literally my first semester at college. Like, I really liked this professor and I was excelling in his class. But I was a little nervous because I was just jumping straight head first into all this new stuff at my university, and I started to listen about crypto stuff, and I was a little concerned about it, especially about my taxes. I was like, oh, this seems like very very detrimental to my taxes. I don't understand how these assets are held, how they work really. Um, but I listened to a talk that Professor Michael Jones gave, and he talked about cryptocurrencies, how they work, how they're formatted, like data wise. Like, oh, here's how you actually make a block, and here's like the basic ideas that go into it. And so I started to enjoy learning more about how cryptocurrency worked, and I then I started to work on some smaller projects. I tried to make a little blockchain thing that would like update as you changed it. Didn't work too well, but it was a good experience. And I've been I got it with Kent, and I started working on some rocket pool stuff. Started reading about it. I haven't put much into it. I haven't had a chance to actually stake anything yet. I don't have that much capital to put off towards that. But when I have enough, I definitely want to start working with it and actually getting to experiment with staking and playing around with that, as well as node operating in the near future.
Nice. That would be really cool. Tell me about the club. Like you mentioned, the Cincinnati Crypto Club. Was that its name? Like what?
Yeah, so we actually have I have a flyer. Hold on. I forget the exact name. It's a very long name. It's the Krautz-Jubel Crypto Economics Lab, and
Okay.
so they have tons of projects going on. Um, and I got in on a little something. We also do have a cryptocurrency club that kind of died off over COVID because that made it really hard to connect with everyone. But we're trying to bring it back this next semester. So love that. I'm trying to help make that a reality. But so
Maybe Whack, he can get you to telestream in to talk to some students, because that's how I think Ben and I actually first connected.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'd
Just
love
saying
that.
my experience.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Definitely, I'd love to do that. But Ken, how did you get involved with the University of Cincinnati? Like, what was happening there?
Yeah, I went to school close to there, and I have some of my investors in Stake Rocket Pool, where we have a meager 5 mini pools, and I'm working on 6 as we move from 16 to 8. Was involved with the University of Cincinnati and suggested we see what they have going on, because they had a huge facility with mining rigs, and the profits were going to charity, and they were trying to do a study on inflation. And I'm like, this is great. Like, how can I find really smart young talent to join the right communities so they don't get lost? And so they're like, what's Rocket Pool? I've never heard of it. Like, well, why would I even focus on staked Ethereum? Like, trust me, I'm like, this is a good one. This does matter. They're going to be around. And so, Ben just surfaced to the top by some of his own analysis he's done for the community that we've shared via my Stake Rocket Pool channel on recent governance forums. But it's kind of hard to find students who are willing to put in the effort without getting paid. But that's the big challenge that took me about 5 years to learn with crypto, is that, it welcomes everybody, but you have to be a creator first and figure out how you add your own value. And for me, it was, I'm an idea person, and putting it into pavement and trying to connect, talent with the right community. This is my effort for Rocket Pool.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, Ben, like, how have you felt about crypto after having gotten to know Ken, and like some of the insights that he's brought into your community? Like, how has that been valuable for you all?
I think it's it's definitely made me more positively mental. Like, I have a more positive mental state towards cryptocurrency. It was a little rough at first, and I was a little concerned, but I understand it a bit better, which means I get to feel more safe, like working with it instead of a little skittish. But it's definitely helped my understanding of like economics in general, and every proposal I read and get to write analysis for, it's always a couple hours it's like an hour or two of writing, but it's then like another 2 hours of just like learning everything that they've talking about. Like I have no idea what this inflation means. At one point I didn't even know what an oracle was. I had to go like deep dive to figure out what that was. So it's just been like world opening. There's just a whole new door that's been opened that I wouldn't have opened if I had never met Kent. So
That's amazing. Ken, are there any other universities that you're involved with now?
We're looking for more. So that was the hope, that if, others out there have an interested university, we're not just trying to target that those have crypto programs already. So there's like a couple that, like Andreessen Horowitz has worked with for these token grants. And that's where I got the idea from. There's even a template they have on how they then, give out the tokens and how they should vote. We're just working with 3 universities, and are looking for more to join so they can reach out to me. And we're just testing it out now and hoping to like have 5 test with us and then do a open process. And Ben is our guinea pig to get the program started.
Nice. I have a quick question for you, actually, Ken. Going back a few steps, when you left your Silicon Valley job and became a crypto analyst, like, how did people in your life react to that? Like, what were their thoughts about that?
They're unsupportive, challenged, still challenged to this day by how odd crypto is, and how different crypto people live. And if you don't know people in real life, or you've never been to a conference and you've seen these people, you wouldn't realize that it's possible. You know, I found that like the internet is so appealing, but then it's so not real. But since I got to meet you in Denver, you know, I was lucky to like go to a conference, my first one in 2018 in San Francisco, and realize like, wow, I got to go to these things. Like this matters. And then, you know, got to meet you at ETH Denver and some other team members, and that's just such an enriching experience to see like the hard work does pay off. So I got a bit lost on my sauce of thinking about old times there. But could you re-guide me, please?
Yeah. So like your family, like what are your friends, what were they saying about like, you know, you leaving your Silicon Valley job and working in crypto? Like what was that all about?
Yeah, they knew I was really passionate about crypto. They just wanted to see the tangible examples. And so, you know, how much money are you getting paid? Like, what are you actually doing? Can you show me examples? And so, you know, I can provide that. And still, I just think it's hard for people to wrap their heads around things they can't see. And so, like, Ethereum makes tons of money today, and I can walk people through the examples, but as soon as they don't understand the words, they tune out. And that's even my own partner. But like, it's so simple. You know, you work hard for tokens, you turn them into real things like a nice house, and then you like repeat the cycle twice. It's taken me a while to realize this, you know, but like, Ben is just inspiring to me of how, you know, you're like, I didn't know what Oracle was. And it's like, great. There's so many things you have to learn. And it's so frustrating for old people or other people. It's like, wait, what's this? And like, you're learning economics at the same time. And so it's terrific when you can just start off organically and just ramp. So I'm really excited to see where Ben and some other university students can help take our Rocket Pool community.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And the reason why I was asking you that question, Ken, is because I want to ask Ben a similar question, right? Like, so Ben, what's your major at college now?
It's just cybersecurity engineering. So.
Yeah. Okay. And like you have this passion in crypto, obviously. Like I presume you after you graduate, you'd like to get a job in crypto. Is that your goal?
Yeah, either crypto or just generic cybersecurity stuff, and then I work on crypto on the side. Yeah.
Yeah. So like how have people in your life reacted to that news that, you know, you have wanted to transition to crypto, especially at a time where, you know, if you got in 2021, that was like the peak of the market. It kind of makes sense that, you know, you got in at that point because a lot of people are getting in at that point. But the fact that you've sustained that interest for the last 2 years in crypto when things have kind of crumbled and like, you know, we've got such a bad rep everywhere. How was that impacted like those decisions that you made?
I know recently I actually went up with a bunch of other like tech nerds and taught a bunch of like high school and middle school kids like Python and stuff. And they asked me how I was doing, what I was doing, and I told them about how I was like working in crypto. And one of the guys was just like, you're crazy. Like that makes no sense at all. Why would you? It's like a total scam. And I tried to talk to him about it. I was like, oh, like if you actually like listen and you read, it's like it makes a lot more sense. It's not just coins and tokens and money and rug pulls and stuff. It's like actually there's a lot more interesting concepts to play around with. And so they were a little hesitant to accept the idea, but they were still a little interested in hearing what I had to say. And I know at least my mother, she was very like, are you sure you want to do this? Like this is something like she did taxes for so many like a bunch of years. She understands finances to a degree, and she was like, are you sure you want to do this? Like there's not too much stuff established, like, or she, at least at the time, she didn't think there was. And once I was able to talk her through how like Rocket Pool and stuff worked, and she was finally like, okay, like I believe you, like what you're saying makes sense, and I understand it a bit better now. So it's hard, but sometimes when people are receptive, you definitely can get to them and they start to see how crypto can actually work.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point there because once people are receptive, then it's really easy to give examples of really, really great crypto projects that work in like these amazing ways. But if the person's like closed off from before, you know, you can tell them every single thing and they just wouldn't respond. But with a little bit of openness and willingness to like listen, they can be blown away, right? Like that's the most amazing thing about like this like transformative like industry that we're in. And I think that the fact that you guys see that now is, and Ben, that you see that at such a young age is really cool. I really want to talk to you, Kent, about this next, right? Because you start to stake rocket pool, like you go and talk about rocket pool to like everyone. Why rocket pool? Like, you know, when you started stake rocket pool, there was like this tiny little niche thing that didn't even probably work very well. And like 2021, you know, it was like before launch, like there was betas, there were all these like delays and stuff, and other projects were getting way ahead. So what was it about rocket pool that really pulled you in, and like why were you attracted to this project and community so much?
So I have to reframe. It's 2022 when I actually got my nodes live. But
Okay.
you know, the learning started in the 50 cent range, and you know, the idea of passive income for Ethereum was always very attractive. So meeting other like node operators in Denver have told me the same goal of how do I, you know, take what I have and it can earn for me like a dividend. And so finding ways I could do that with Ethereum myself led me down all those options. You know, staking rewards.com is probably a common place that people find themselves and they're trying to figure out, you know, the calculations. But when you do enough research and you look at the different ways you could stake your Ethereum, like I've tested out Lido and I've, you know, tested out some other competitors. But when I got into, you know, the community and how freaking smart everybody is and welcoming, and then I talked with a couple of dev friends and they said, yeah, you know, Rocket Pool community makes sense. They're legit. And then I got to do some more confirmation and looking into the data from the angle that I can see in an analyst, you know, that's growth. It was all like uptrending and very positive, and the conversations are not the same. And the Rocket Pool community, you know, comparatively, you know, it's friendly banter, but it's also how can we be, you know, provide the best solution possible to node operators and then also liquid staking tokens. So when I determined like what was one project that I had to focus on and not just like scattered across 10 projects, it's like Rocket Pool is one that many people will take time to find. And once they do, kind of like, you know, ETH Capital, which is the largest investment fund in Canada that just solely invests in Ethereum. You know, they are really excited about Rocket Pool. I know they're getting their way into the community because they know the competitive advantages that Rocket Pool has for Ethereum stakers. So research led me down to the Rocket Pool path, and then how friendly everybody has been by, you know, just writing a blog post. And we talked about this before we started recording. I got like a 25 RPL gift for, you know, a blog post because I highlighted a super fizz quote where somebody was staking a node from, I think, Southeast Asia. And like that stuff gets me really excited like others because, you know, permissionless is the name of the game that we're really working towards. And you can say it, but unless you can really prove liveness, which I guess is the term we're using today for the chain, and ensuring that, you know, if one consensus client goes down, which we had recently, you know, we can still prove liveness of the chain and ensure that, you know, the billions of dollars are secured, that is what decentralization provides. And Rocket Pool adds to that and lets people get in who couldn't previously get in. You know, I think it's a gift to have 32 ETH to be a full node operator. You know, like Jameson Lopp was one of my educators early on in crypto security. To rant for a second, the Casa founder, and like people in the Bitcoin world used to think if you don't run a full Bitcoin node, you're not a first-class citizen. And then if you just run like a light client, then you're kind of a first-class citizen. If you don't, you know, you're like going to get taken advantage of. So I don't think we're going to be that way with Ethereum, but it is really nice to be an operator, and it's not that hard to do it too. So the community made that very easy.
Yeah, that's so cool. And Ben, how about you? Like when you when you saw Kent in that meeting, like, and were you talking about Rocket Pool in that meeting, Kent? Like, what was being talked about then?
I think it was a little bit of Rocket Pool, and at the time it was kind of just a, hey, what's your interest? Here's a bunch of projects we can work on. We'll push you towards whatever you think is interesting. And so I took a little bit of time to like read up on all the other ones and read up on Rocket Pool, and then I came back and had another meeting with Kent, actually talking directly about Rocket Pool and not about any other projects, and talking to him about how he wanted to do the like university program, how he wanted me to like help start all this, and it just got me really interested and invested, and so I've kind of just stuck with it.
Wonderful. And what was it about Rocket Pool that made it the project that you chose? Like, why did you decide to go down that rabbit hole instead of others?
Um, it just sounded more interesting at the time. It was just I think there was another program, there was NFTs, and I was like, I understand the power of NFTs, but I didn't feel like it was the way I wanted to go. And so I was like, Rocket Pool sounds interesting. It's um, after getting in, I got very minorly into regular stocks just a couple years back when the whole GameStop stuff happened. I started watching stuff. I started actually listening. And so I was like, oh, passive income, that's like the big seller. Like everyone loves passive income. And I was like, that Rocket Pool can do that if you have the means and you can help work towards it. I was like, that's something that's really interesting, and I want to pursue some time to look into it and figure out what's going on.
Awesome. So how have you two's like relationship developed since that time, since you first started talking? Because Kent, you mentioned that Ben really rose to the top. So what kind of stuff was Ben doing that really like came to your attention?
Just doing good analysis on recent proposals. Not just saying like I would vote for these 7 people. It's like, here's who I would vote for. Here's who could be considered. They have added some work, like Dr. Worm, but I have a preference to these people. I thought it was just very in-depth, helpful insight. I find it's hard to find people who will do good work, and when you try and set somebody up who will, then you want to give them more opportunities. And that's how we came to be here.
And Ben, how have you found doing the work? Like, what kind of things have you learned along the way?
Oh my goodness. I was told do a paragraph, just write a paragraph about your like feelings on whatever the most recent proposal was. I think it was like GMC elections for March and update to RPIP 10. And I was like, okay, I can't do that. I'm going to first like outline all of my thoughts on everything that I'm reading, and then I'll synthesize it into like a bunch of paragraphs. And I sent it in, and Kent's like, this is too much. Like this is so much. Like this is amazing. And so I've learned to not write as much, but to write more like influentially, write important things instead of just random notes, and just kind of when I have an idea or something, just to put it out there, make people aware of it. Also learned what an oracle is. That's pretty cool. There's still every single time there's a proposal, there's something new that I'm learning that I've never even like I've heard of, but I've never even thought to look up before. So
That's so cool. So tell me, like, have you been like talking to people in the Discord? Like, do you just browse the forum and like the snapshot votes to look at what's going on? Like, what's your process been to get information?
I lurk in the Discord. I haven't talked as much. I think at the beginning I was talking a little bit in the governance chat, just trying to understand what some of the stuff was, especially for my first set of proposals. I didn't know what anything was, and I was trying to get information on where to go to like see stuff. But I made a forum account, start looking all over the forums, every single link that was somewhere in there, it would be opened, and I'd start reading about it. And is it important? Is it something that's actually going to help? Like, yeah, I'll write down some notes about it. And so I do everything I can, everything that's out there. I at least glance over and write some notes down about it, and then I'll go back and I'll just look over everything. And normally it's proposals have been non like election proposals have been put through the ringer again and again and again. So they're pretty sound by the time they get to the snapshot vote. So there's not like, I haven't found any bombshells that are like, oh no, this is terrible. This is like the worst thing ever. How did you guys let this get through? Because they're normally pretty well made. So I don't know. I do my little cursory. Here's all the information I've ever gathered for this stuff, and then I take what's actually important and not what's just some crazy ramblings and put it into some kind of paragraph structure. And I'm like, okay, here you go, Kent. Like here's how I think you should vote. Like these are the interesting people that I think are good for a job, or I actually think our PIP 10 update was good. Like, and here's why. So,
Yeah, that's so cool.
And the good news, the investors don't want to do the research. They don't. And that's where the governance voting with university students makes a lot of sense. If they're willing to work for free to get to learn and then get some type of compensation. We got Ben his first ENS domain, and that's his internship reward thus far. And so it's those small things, and then figuring out how he can get his way into full analyst work, or finding more ways to create analyst work and work towards retroactive funding is that other new paradigm shift that working to help disseminate as well.
Yeah, with the retroactive funding. So like both of you know that I'm a member of the GMC, and part of my job is to figure out who to give money to and how much money to give to them. And we have three kinds of grants. We have a regular grant is where you want to do the work yourself and you're going to do it over a certain period of time. We have something called bounties, where you can write a proposal for someone else to go and do the work that you want done, but you don't even know how to do it yourself. You don't want to do it yourself. And then there's a third kind of grant where it's called retroactive award, where you've completed the work already. It's shown value to the community and people have noticed it or they like it, and then you get paid for it, basically, depending on how much time you put into it, how difficult it was, all that kind of stuff. So, we have these great ways of funding work. Like the Rocket Pool community is all about, do the work, get paid. And, we're not going to beat around the bush by saying, do it for the goodwill of the community or do it for whatever altruistic reason. Like, we're very much about the fact that if you do the work, you'll get actual money, and money is in form of RPL. But it's like that Simpsons meme where Homer wants peanuts instead of $20, and it's like, no, take the $20 because you can buy peanuts. It's like that. You get the RPL, you can sell it for USD, whatever, like money, and go spend it. But we fund that, right? Like we give out money to people. Kent, like you said, you got gifts. Like I've been the recipient of gifts before. We really push those things. So is that, Ben, is that like the kind of thing that you'd like to do, basically, is figure out like some of the work that you can do and maybe like apply for grants? Like, what are your thought processes about that?
Yeah, so small things first. I'm working on something for the current analysis I have, and I love doing the analysis, so I'll keep doing that going forward. And I've looked into some other things that people have been posting, like, hey, we'd love this, we'd love to do that, like we'd love solutions. I haven't been able to come up with any on my own, but I've been looking around trying to see what I can do. But I just try to get out there, and that's what I think everyone should try and do if they want to find something, and just think up of ideas. Look at the roadmap. Like obviously that's where everyone wants to go. So if you can find a way to do something there, then everyone will love that. So, and just get information out there so we get more people into the community.
Absolutely. And Ken, how's your experience been, like, doing Stake Rocket Pool? Like, how have you found, like, the community's reception towards that, like the work that you put out, like, and like you said that, you got like 25 RPL for some of the work you did. Like, how have you found the fact that, like for the work you did, you can make money? Like, how's that been?
It's awesome. It's entrepreneurship life is not like the cush 9-to-5 life, like a fat paycheck, but it's so freeing and it builds a lot more credibility. So I thought that, having a high paying job mattered, but actually it's like the work that I've done matters and what I create matters. And I spent too many years just like not sharing and realizing that sharing is actually very helpful. So it's been really grateful to get that reward the gift, and I'm just trying to find ways that I could earn more for myself and then pass it on to people. I think that that is the ethos of crypto, is just how you find good people and give them gifts and see them run, because it's really limitless. So I've enjoyed my experiences, have built more credibility through building Stake Rocket Pool, and I've started just realizing the ocean that Ethereum staking is. And I believe it's going to be, just $1 trillion industry that will usher in many more people. And so Rocket Pool clearly is limited to its growth potential, which is what we're at 3 point something percent, and we can only get to 22% of so there's going to be a cap we get to at some point in time. And so we definitely need a diversified community around Ethereum, but I've just found that creating content and finding ways organically to add value myself has been so enjoyable, and I've been greeted with a lot of positive benefits back. But there's no shortcuts, and with so many detractors or people are like, what are you doing, why are you doing this, like, you spent how much on what? It's like, I just don't tell them anymore and keep smiling. And you had the interview with Super Fizz, and he really inspired me, about just being 98% positive, 2% negative, or maybe that was something Vitalik said too. So that's kind of my attempt, knowing that life is not perfect, but you gratefully asked us to come on this show, and I'm hoping to find more university students and just keep making it a reciprocal thing.
Absolutely. I think that element of like passing it along is so important, because we really need, like, people, like we would say, right, like once people get exposed to the idea of crypto, they respond to it really quickly, and like they can click with it really quickly. But sadly, there's not too many people doing that initial outreach, right? Like saying, hey, you don't know anything about crypto, let me talk to you about crypto. And that happens in ways that leads people down bad paths organically sometimes, into like bad NFTs, like chasing pumps and like meme coins, all that kind of stuff, like bad things. Like, if you can avoid that's great. Why don't you take a couple of minutes, Kent, to talk a little bit about like some of the work that you've done with Stake Rocket Pool, and like some of the successes you've had, and like really like, take a few minutes, like give me some examples of things that you're really proud of that you've done with Stake Rocket Pool.
Yeah, happy to. Just to see a brand created that, can use the Rocketeers NFT community as the logo, and connect with, major influencers, from Marco, to Super Fizz, to meeting, Sassel in person. Meeting your celebrities is always like such an awesome thing. And it's great when your celebrities are nerds, and your celebrities are not like typical celebrities, like, oh man, that little nerd in the corner, like, oh my gosh, that's been really fun with Stake Rocket Pool. I just hope to inspire more people. That's kind of the unique skill that I have, and hoping that just to share that, because I'm not a coder, but Rocket Pool just continues to make it easier for people to get involved, and that's where I hope that narrative can be, pushed further ahead with Stake Rocket Pool. And we're testing out this university governance, but my goal would be to see if we can even, lend out Ethereum, and then find individuals who want to be node operators, and then we can source some RPL and get more diversified node operators who will help us test and do the real work depending on what they want to do. Because like you said, Whack, that there's a lot of people who want to follow for free tokens or some speculative community. And I found that Rocket Pool, you have to earn your way in, and everybody has bought their way in. Nobody has been just like granted a free node. And so the ideas I have are kind of out there to get people who wouldn't understand why they'd want ETH to get a loan, to get some ETH to run a node. But then once they do more education, like Ben, it starts to make a lot of sense. This could be, like, instead of owning your apartment, now you own an ETH node. And what could that be like in 10 years?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Why don't you guys let's shift a little bit. So one of the things that we talked about was like this university delegation program, right? And token delegation. So can you just kind of hinted at that a little bit? Can you take a couple of minutes to explain what the university token delegation program is and like what you envisage it being?
Yes, thanks for pushing me further down that path. The University Token Delegation Program for Rocket Pool, the vision is to involve students or like highly educated and interested, motivated individuals globally to help guide Rocket Pool governance. So I see there's a gap with some investors who don't want to actually do the work to vote. You know, they want to invest in the best projects, but they don't want to do any work. And then on the other side, you have these really smart students who want to do work, but don't know where to work and want to get paid. And so trying to connect that dots is what this university token delegation program is doing. And we're just testing with 3 universities today with the stake rocket pools, nodes tokens. So I was questioned by some node operators, like, why would you do that? And I know it's a risk, that we could potentially make the wrong vote. So we're using a sub snapshot today to make sure that we don't lose full control of our votes. But the goal is to follow Andreessen Horowitz and some other top, venture firms that have created open source models for token delegation, because this is a healthier way of an ecosystem operating, where participants who have good ideas and want to work hard can add value, but maybe they don't have the investment. So that's the goal of the University Token Delegation Program.
Nice. And Ben, of course, the analysis that you do with the proposals and stuff, that of course ties into the token delegation program. How do you see the impact of the delegation program on like the way that you've gotten involved in crypto, and how do you think it might help others that are just learning about crypto to come into it?
It helps get you hands-on with things. So normally you get in and if you're just starting, you probably will never vote on something anytime soon. So being able to actually look at proposals and read stuff that are relevant to those and learn more as the proposals come up, you learn more about the community and how the protocol works. And I would assume it's just the same as on other projects, the same as it is on Rocket Pool, for just reading these proposals and learning more and more about how the project you're working on is working. And so being able to get hands-on with learning all this stuff and making a decision on whether you think some change in the protocol is good or not, and like talking on the forum, like making suggestions, improving how current ideas are being handled, actually getting the hands-on experience. It's really helpful to have. And I know the token delegation program is definitely helping a lot, because I have somebody, I have someone to talk to. Like if it was just me, I probably would have never gotten this far. But having someone to bounce ideas off of or ask for help, it makes it all the more easier to actually get into this and start interacting with the community.
I think that's such a cool dynamic that you guys have there, right? Like it's like Kent, in a sense, you've kind of become a mentor for all these different students, and like okay, like I guess the way I can tell a story about this like kind of analogy is like a whole bunch of years ago I went to Australia and I wanted to learn how to surf, so I went and got some surf lessons, and one of the instructors said, when I moved to Australia, he wasn't Australian, he was like from somewhere else, and he was like, when I moved to Australia, I had a passion of surfing, but I didn't know how to do it, so I just turned up on Bondi Beach, which is a beach in Sydney and like one of the world famous beaches. And he's like, I just got out in the water every day, and like it took me 6 months before I could like do anything. And he said, the lessons that I'm giving you today is basically all of that 6 months in one go. And I think that like what you guys are doing with this outreach stuff is kind of like giving that 6 months of lessons in one go, right? Like, instead of going out there and paddling around and flailing around and not really knowing what's going on and making mistakes and whatever, like, you got kind of like a shortcut into like crypto. And thankfully, like people with good reputations and the good experiences are willing to impart those in a way that makes sense about why those are the right things to do. Like instead of like, going and talking about like, the latest meme coins and stuff, you're actually presenting like a really logical, persuasive argument about the right way of doing things. Ben, did you get a sense of like Kent doing things like that? Like, how did you feel about like what Kent was talking about compared to what you'd seen other people talking about crypto?
It definitely helped. He, since he's already in Rocket Pool, he was able to point me in the right directions of what to even look for it at the beginning. And so, I mean, to borrow from your analogy, it's like, okay, you're given a surfboard and you don't know how to do it. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm just sitting here with a surfboard. I can try and fail again, again, again. But having somebody that you can bounce ideas off of and get help pointing you to the right directions, it's made all the difference. Actually, like I probably wouldn't have found out about the forum for easily a month or two, but Ken was like, hey, there's like a forum you should go look at. Like, I probably wouldn't have figured that out for quite a while. And so having all that knowledge is really helpful for starting off, and you can do it by yourself. And there's plenty of information. And I think it would be very beneficial for people to start making more information like that. Like, hey, here's resources, here's things to look at. Like, here's the directions you should start, and centralizing all, or maybe not centralizing. That's probably a bad term here, but putting that out so people can read it, so you can actually get started a lot easier. Because there is a get started like section of the Rocket Pool like website, and it is helpful. It points you in all the right directions, but having that extra person you can question, it has been a lot of help. And I think you could also get that out of the Discord as well. So
I think that's what it's
I'm
been
gonna
like for. Sorry, go ahead, Kent.
please. You guys are so kind. I wanted to be, a little bit critical because I think our community is both, which is fun, But it's spot on that the hand-to-hand combats is so key, I think, to what's needed for people to know where to spend their time, or Ben and I being able to connect on Telegram, or for you and I to be able to connect wax. We've seen each other in person. That goes so far. I'd love to see how we could have more Rocket Pool ambassadors, or just more encouragement of organic sharing, because the funded programs, it's like the greasy wheel gets attention, but it doesn't necessarily mean that is a great place for someone to spend their time. So I know that we'll figure that out, and that's the challenge of, Ben, you made the joke about centralization is something we don't want to talk about in this community, but like the PDAO is centralized. Like, we need something centralized for periods of time until we can get to relative decentralization, because pure decentralization is chaos and anarchy, and like we need relative degrees. And so finding our way there. There's a funny that you shied away from centralization, Ben, and I was like, oh boy, like let's talk about that, because it is helpful in some contexts, but yeah, we're driving towards decentralized Ethereum.
That's wonderful. So, what do you see as the future for this token delegation program, and like your relationship with universities, Kent? Like, how do you see that growing in the next like 6 months, like year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Like, what are your ideas?
Find product market fit. We're working on it still with this token delegation program. We haven't figured out the rewards yet. Ben is one of few who's doing things to be underpaid, but figuring out this model for more analyst work, and then figuring out someone else to lead the program. My hope is to provide more strategic help into Rocket Pool and to be an ambassador in other ways. But first and foremost, making sure this program succeeds. So getting a couple more universities involved, and figuring out how we have like a 6-month like semester long internship opportunity with Rocket Pool is kind of the main goal. And we have good foundation, but we don't have product market fit. So like just trying to get that in 6 months, and then see if in a year it's rolling on its own.
Nice. That's really cool. And Ben, like, what are your ideas for like the rest of your time at university, and like how you're involved in like this crypto stuff?
yeah, I definitely want to start a node. It's a big project, but I'm trying to work towards it. Kent's definitely helping me there. And getting our cryptocurrency club back up and running is one of my main goals right now. Hopefully, that should be up within the next semester, maybe the spring semester. If I think we were a little late on some paperwork we had to do with the university, so that might be problematic. But otherwise, I really want to help try and get this going and get information in front of people so that more people can learn about crypto, they can get more interested, and they can start to find an interest in something that they probably would have never known about as deep as they could know about it if they weren't able to jump on somewhere.
Nice, that's really cool. Let's talk a little bit about how you see. Ken, I guess I can start with you, and then we can include Ben in this. Is like how you see like the state of crypto right now. Like what you've been in crypto for a while, right? Like you've been through a couple of cycles already. Like what are you seeing right now in crypto that is exciting you, that is worrying you? Like what kind of ideas do you have about what's going on?
Yeah, the infrastructure, I think, is having like it's a little bit hangover Ethereum infrastructure pricing, but it's all the dynamics are better, for the need for rocket pool, the need for, clarity on why staking is legal for residents around the world. But, I see a lot of growth happening in the infrastructure layer, and the investment side is on the infrastructure. A lot of people still don't know, where to spend their time, but it seems that the Ethereum community continues to push forward. Vitalik's got some clear guidance on where he wants the community to go and focus on, kind of that user element and multi-sig wallets and helping people feel safe, because the contracts now are safe to use, but the other elements of crypto aren't that safe. So like helping find out how to add value there is where I see challenges for a couple of years, but a lot of upside for people like Ben when they get into this right community. The regulatory stuff in the United States worries me and makes me sad, or like I cry seeing all the struggles and like the billions Coinbase has spent fighting its own government, my government. I assume we'll get clarity in 2024, 2025, and that will like open the gates up for us. But my fear is, the DeFi mullet. So, permissionless in the back, permissioned in the front is going to be the de facto. And so if you truly are a creator, you may have to get out of the United States, or you've got to find a way that, you could do that instead of just being permissioned. But I'm confident that people like Ben will figure out VPNs and know how to continue to build. So hopefully that wasn't too much of a roundabout.
That's okay. And Ben, like since you've been in the community for such a short time now, like relatively, what are your hopes and aspirations for like crypto? You said that it might be something that you pursue as a job. It might be something that you continue to do on the side. Like, what do you think will be the way you interact with it going forwards?
I think that I'll probably even after the program that I'm currently in, I think I'll definitely keep my eye on crypto and work as much as I can to just keep up to date, play with my tokens, keep them places that accrue interest, and work on just making a better ecosystem, and hopefully get more people into the mindset of understanding how it works and being trusting in the system, so that there is a pushback on our like local governments and our federal governments, so that there's more accessibility for this ecosystem instead of they're clamping down on it. So.
Yeah, and Ken, tell me about some of the things that are exciting for you in like the Ethereum roadmap and the Rocket Pool roadmap. Like, what kind of stuff are you looking forward to seeing in the future?
Account abstraction. I think a lot of us want to see account abstraction where, some things are automated for you, or you truly can see like what we assumed would happen with DeFi, where you could enter like a smart contract and have automation occur for you. It's like here today, but not as practical. The ZK privacy stuff is really cool. Seeing ZK money come to life. So on the Rocket Pool side, the roadmap has been organized, and the highlights are integrations on our ETH across the top integrations like Zapper, Xerion. I think that will be huge. I think most new people will figure out Rocket Pool through our ETH because it's just the most tax optimized staking derivative token out there. And then over time, they realize they want to be a node operator. So I think getting access to more people, knowing that just buying our ETH is like a shortcut. You don't need to buy ETH and then swap it and pay all those gas fees. And better yet, you could get it on L2. And so if you wanted to degen, you could. But, I'm really excited about our ETH, and then, further fine tuning and, decentralization of, the PDAO. And there's really good criticism, as the details of it. Certain people like to highlight and just get attention, but there's so much work and research been done on how to, safely decentralize. And I think that really matters, because I don't want to be a part of just an anarchy society. I like the ethos of the community and the strength that Rocket Pool has in making decisions that benefit node operators and Ethereum above that. So
that's so cool. And is anything, Ben, that you've come across that's really exciting for you about that, that you're looking forward to in crypto?
Node operation. I'm really excited. I was very hesitant at first, and then I'm starting to same way getting into crypto in the first place. I was very hesitant at first, and then I get more reassured the more I learn, and I'm super pumped to do it. I'm really excited to start working towards running a node and being able to write resources so I can teach other people how to run a node, and see just how many people I can reach and affect in a positive way towards building their capital and helping to improve the ecosystems in cryptocurrency.
That's so cool. Well, node operation, as has become easier and easier as time goes on. And, there's protocols out there now that are offering staking with 4 ETH, like Stata that is launching next week. Rocket Pool is working towards maybe going towards similar levels of collateralization, which of course will open up Ethereum staking for even more people, and hopefully people like yourself, Ben, with the idea that maybe in a year or two, it could be 2 ETH. We don't know what the security ramifications that would be, and whether that's even feasible, to do it securely and in a way that helps Ethereum instead of attacks Ethereum in a sense. But if we can get there, then of course there'll be hopefully thousands of people who can come to Rocket Pool who just can't right now. And I think that would be really exciting as well to see those people come along and become parts of our community. I'm just finishing up, Kent and Ben, for both of you. I guess, Kent, I'll come to you first. Is how do you think the Rocket Pool community can help you get the word of Rocket Pool out? What can we do as a community to kind of help stake Rocket Pool, help Kent, carry on doing the work that you're doing? What would help you with that?
Thanks for asking the question. That's the start. Any feedback on the University Token Delegation Program, suggestions on a way to incentivize students, but making sure that they are doing good work to be incentivized, not just getting something for free, that's a big hurdle. And then if anyone has suggestions on, how to lend out, ETH and or RPL to people like Ben, who are young students who want to be node operators, is another model that I'm trying to fine tune. So I'd love feedback and suggestions on that if anyone has any.
Yeah, and Ben, what about you? How can the Rocket Pool community help someone like you who's new to crypto, but really willing to work and, put out good work? What kind of things would make it easier for you to do the work that you're doing?
Just be welcoming. I think that was the most helpful thing so far that's gotten me where I am. So yeah, just be welcoming, be ready to share knowledge. There's always new people to crypto, and there's always people looking to learn. So as long as you can pass that information along, we'll grow.
Wonderful.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
add on to that, Whack, if that's okay, it's intimidating, knowing when to dive in, and people like object in the community. I love object so much, but not everyone has their own way of interacting in the community, and so hopefully this is more welcoming. And just one last suggestion is just continue doing what you're doing, because that helped me realize I could get in, because I didn't think I had the chops. I didn't think I was worthy. I think there's a lot of good people out there who haven't found their way. And so finding more ways that people can add value to the community, but not only doing code, or finding ways to onboard node operators, and my hope.
Yeah, I think that's a really great thing about the Rocket Pool community. Ben, to kind of like link back to what you were saying, is that it's full of so many welcoming people, and so many friendly people, so many people who are willing to share the bit of knowledge they have, and really like encourage people to do stuff, right? Like people like Superphase, Patricio, Thomas, G, like all of these people who have given money to community members to like who've shown that they've done work. For me, I give money every month to people who help me make rocket fuel. So Ben, if that's something that you're interested in, I'm always looking for people to help me with like sourcing content, especially like, if you're a lurker, if you see something cool in the community, send me the link. I'll put it in the episode and you get a raffle ticket. And every month I give away $1,000. Of my money, right? That money that I don't have to like give away in a sense. I give away like $1,000 that is generously donated to me by an anonymous benefactor, and that's just for the purpose of the raffle. Like that's the kind of thing that like we all pay forward in our own ways. And of course, the Rocket Pool community is famous for the RPL benefactor, who's this anonymous person who distributes thousands of dollars worth of RPL every few months. Come back, benefactor. but yeah,
Please.
like that, yeah, there's some really cool stuff that the community likes to pay it forward and like actually give out money, and that's really rare, I think, for the kind of communities that are out in the crypto sphere right now. So there's a lot of like really cool stuff. And one of the things is like, motivation, passion, those things can't be faked. And if you have those, and if you have a genuine desire to learn, to work, and it really shows quickly that you're a genuine person about that. I think those are the people who really get rewarded from the Rocket Pool community, and community members who, are really generous with what they have and share it with people like really nicely. So I really hope that you guys get success, Kent, for you to be able to spread the message of Rocket Pool and crypto to even more people. Ben, for you to continue in your like crypto journey and your exploration of crypto and finding projects that fit your personality and your like ideals. And thankfully, like you're both involved in Rocket Pool, and that's really cool because we love people who do the work. So I hope everything goes well for both of you. Is there anything that you'd like to add? Anything that you want to expand on more before we wrap up this call? No? Well, Kent, go ahead.
Thanks so much. Just really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm really like encouraged by the work that's happening. Like, get crypto out to young people. Like, I know like you're a college student, like young compared to me, I guess. But like this enthusiasm, like this is the time in your life where you can really make huge contributions. And they're really young people in the Rocket Pool community too, right? Like just to point out a couple, like in Viz, he's like a super like cool guy, makes all the bots like super sarcastic, super funny, but like really, really productive. Like Rocket Watch is a bot that he made, is like deeply ingrained in the Rocket Pool Discord. Like it's so informative, and he is, I think, a teenager or very early 20s. We have people like Jasper, who's graduated from college last year, but is putting out amazing knowledge about Rocket Pool into the world. Like, these are young people who are contributing so much. And the main thing is like, people are doing the work and they're getting rewarded for that, right? And I hope that, you feel that we're welcoming enough that you can come and spend time with us and bring your friends with you, and let's keep the work going, because Rocket Pool is at this really important place now where these next few months are like really big to like not just the future of Rocket Pool, but also the future of Ethereum as a whole. And that's what we're all kind of fighting for the success of Ethereum. And it's really cool to have people like Kent, you, and Ben as well along for this. It's exciting.
Well, you keep it going every day for us. So, that's what I get to feel excitement about. And like 3, 2, 1, lift off.
Yeah,
thanks so much. Keep it going.
You're welcome, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. And I really hope that people reach out to you all with like ideas and suggestions for how to make like both of you's work grow. And I really hope good things will come from this for both of you.
Thanks so much.
See you soon. I can't wait to see what you guys do. Bye.